Right, I've completed the area around that insignia. Now we're going to have to tackle it. Now what I'm going to do is tackle the light colours first. So I've already put white on there, and I'm making it slightly bigger than it needs to be because we can cut in on that. It's easier doing that way than the other way. Now previously I'd put 106 on this outer edge. Now I'm going to add 184, and that will give me a sort of almost identical colour. Let me just show you the picture just while I'm here. Now, this is the one I'm doing. You see the idea? Now that's obviously flat on, but what we've got here is it's on the side. But you can see I've got the colours quite accurate. Now I'm using sharp pencils for this, naturally, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. I don't think I need to put any 182 on here, looking at that. And I can always brighten it up with a little bit of ivory, and maybe I will darken underneath here eventually, because although we want it to be all the same colour, we've got to vary it slightly as the light's hitting the plane. Well, that's good. Now let's just tackle the centre area first of red, and this is 118. Now you see what I mean by just tackling that inside there. Very, very carefully chip away at the white on the very outer edges. That's good. Now if I look at it now, I need to come in with the blue. So let's use the blue. I don't want to alter the outside there very much, but just inside. Now you'll notice as I go through here that the 140 that I'm using at the moment is sort of like a blender. It's blending in the colour that I've already, the grey and the 142 that I've already put in. And I'm just making sure that I've got that pretty. It's not bad. I can see little areas that I want to improve, but we can do that afterwards. This is the area where I was aware that it was a little bit too narrow. That's not bad. Okay, let's just put, this is 143 again. I'll make it a little bit more blue this time because I've already established the shape. I can afford to be a little bit bolder with the 142. It needs to be darker than this. Now what I've done here, I've changed the colour. I'd already put, on the other ones I'd put a 155 and 156, but I've changed my mind here. Now this is 153, and I preferred it because it's just a little more green, and I wanted it to match with that. It's still miles too light, but we see how we go over the top of that. It's so easy, easy slip up on that. Put a little bit of colour. You'll be amazed how this actually changes as I go along. The colour, and it becomes more smooth. I've got to do something about that. That's it. It's quite easy, you see, to cut back in with the pastel pencil. Good. Okay. Now we need to darken. So let's start with the middle. I'm going to use one. 192. But I only want really the bottom half of it. Good. I'm just going to put just a little bit of grey on the white, just to put a bit of shading in it. In fact, if you go slightly over the top there like that, you can then bring the white back. But this time, because of the grey underneath, it won't register quite as light as it did before. Where up there, of course, it is. You see the idea? Now, you can just a little bit more. I may elect to darken that slightly with a little tiny bit of black. In fact, I think I'll do it now while I think of it. Just a little bit of black here. Now, although it's a very severe colour, if you then use your red, you like mix the black with the red and you get a nice tone. You can see that. Oh yes, Colin. Now then, the blue. We've got to temper it down a bit. What I'm going to do here, I think, is use 181. I'll find it. 181. Now that needs to come down the bottom right here. What I'm going to do is going to go around the edge with the 181. You see when I said to you how this is changing. If you run this video back and then forward again, you'll see how much that has changed. It's quite amazing what the pastel pencils are capable of. Now, just as I've done, I've shaded the bottom of that, I'm shading the bottom of this as well with 181. Okay, that looks good. A little more blue now, I think. And the blue going over the ones at 181 is the same as the other two shades I've put above. It just lightened it. Good. Right on the very edge. I'm showing you this in its entirety because it's a very difficult thing to do, and I think if you see it, you'll be able to understand what you've got to do. Just round the edge of that. Cut ever so slightly in. Remember, I can go back with the other colour to... You think that I've overdone that, I know. You're thinking it's a bit too dark. But when you're going to make these adjustments, one colour, 1, 4, 3, it just makes it crisper. You see what I mean? And then when you bring the other colours back in again, you can do what you've seen me do so many times before, just cut in, so you get a crispness. Now that's not bad, folks, I've got to say. So what I'll do now is I'll just make sure that I've got the right tone, so I've got to go back with 181 on top, because it is slightly darker than the actual insignia. Come down in here and down the bottom quite a bit darker. I could use black on it, but I don't want to do that because 181 being Payne's grey has given me a natural blue. Okay, that's good. Come down with that. Now I should probably titivate it a little bit more, but the important thing is you've seen it. You've seen it down now. Just here we've got to make some slight adjustments to the bottom with the grey that we've used previously here. And I'm going to use 182. Makes it very clean, the tip, just to make that just a little darker there. options for this. Now this is another area you've got to do a little bit of adjustment on. That's the green that disappears under the plane. But, well, I'm pretty happy with that. We'll pull away and see what it looks like, but I'm quite happy with that one now. As I say, I do titivate afterwards just to make sure I've got it absolutely right, because on camera there's only so much concentration you can give it. But I want to make it as close as I can to how it finishing effect is going to be for you. One thing I was going to do, and I'll start with the ivory and see if I can do it just a little bit. No, I don't think I can. Or can I? Maybe I can. What it is, it's just the top of this, where it's catching the light. Remember I said earlier I was going to do it just a little bit where it's catching the light on the top. That'll do.